Hey, welcome to the TEEP podcast, brought to you by CECO and AIChE. I'm your host, Gary Gildert, along with interns Carla Romero and Hisham Habli and Christian Garcia. And we bring you the latest in industrial energy efficiency in 15 minutes or so. We'll talk about the upcoming events, and then we'll recap some of the past events that we've attended over the last couple of weeks. And then finally, we'll have an article from Carla. So upcoming events. The Industrial Energy Technology Conference, IETC 2026, will be held May 19th to 21st at the Houston Marriott South. It will be featuring multiple sessions on energy efficiency and plant optimization technical topic areas. In fact, there'll be 5 sessions and 10 papers on energy efficiency. Registration is now open. The Energy in Action Seminar is May 29th at the Sugar Land campus, and it's all about digital twins. So John Nixon and Ravi Aglave from Siemens will be the speakers. It's not till the fall, but the STS, AIChE Southwest Process Technology Conference is back in October the 22nd to 23rd, and it'll be here on campus at the University of Houston. We'll have at least 2 energy efficiency and a water conservation session as part of the conference. The call for abstracts is open, and the sponsors and exhibitors can sign up now for early bird rates. Finally, SPEAR. Check out their website for webinars and information for small and medium industries as well as commercial properties. So the Coogs for Energy Hackathon was a couple of weeks ago. I was not able to attend, but Hisham, you were there. In fact, you were one of the participants. Tell us about this little 2-day event.
Yeah, so this event was actually more than just 2 days. It was 10 days of preparation that came before it.
Okay. So, and it's a team event. How did you manage to get on this team? Because I thought it's mainly grad students.
Yeah, it is geared for grad students, but the team of grad students of mine were all PhD students, and they did need an undergraduate student, and they were actually friends with an old teaching assistant of mine who recommended me to join their team.
Okay, that sounds lucky, or was it? It sounds like a lot of work as well.
Oh yes, it was definitely a lot of work. It was worth it though at the end. The main difficulty was, of course, just dealing with school work, balancing all that, and then having to spend late nights doing meetings to catch up on what we've been doing, in between our time during the day to make progress. And then even harder for me is I actually had an exam the day of the hackathon presentation. So I had an exam from 9 to 11 a.m. and then had to go present at 1 or 2.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Talk about a change of pace there that you had to deal with.
Yeah.
So give us the 1-minute synopsis of what you were hacking.
Yeah, so our topic was about the net present value in Southeast Asian oil and gas and steel, all the heavy industries out there. So we made an app that was essentially to help the decision-making process. So rather than sitting there and having to put everything in an Excel, you get all the inputs and it gives you a full synopsis, marginal abatement, cost curve. It gives you other specifics such as your internal return rate, your interest return rate, and it also covered different investment time. So whether you're investing for 3 years, 5 years, 20 years, what makes sense to invest in, and you consider all of the general operating costs, but it mostly focused on the capital costs. So what capital costs were needed to get a beneficial net present value, specifically targeting these Asian markets. And my role in this was to do the market analysis research. So looking at the different industries there, getting a lot of research articles, which I'm very familiar with, and getting making sure everything was right. And biggest thing was keeping everything on the same basis. Some things that my teammates found, maybe it wasn't on the same basis. I made sure to find something or to have to adjust maybe their whatever numbers that they had and make it on the same basis. That way we were very consistent with how we're proposing and how we're making this app.
Okay, it sounds very specific, but also general because it's finance. Finance has to be general in its basis. So
Yeah.
it sounds like a bit of fun. So were you successful at all? Did you get any recognition for all that work?
Oh yes, it was. So unfortunately, we didn't get first, second, or third place, but they had other awards that were called the Mentor Awards. So our mentor, his name was Naeem Chowdhury, and
Okay.
he is with Honeywell, and he was helping us through the process, making sure that the way our application is running made sense, and also made sure that our business plan was sound. And we won a Mentors Award for the best technical solution. And even during our presentation, the judges said that we went above and beyond what the problem statement was. So they were really happy with what we proposed, and we ended up winning as a team $1,200.
Okay.
And the only really fallback was unfortunately one of the members that we originally had. He wasn't able to really participate. He had certain things come up. So our team name was called Power 6, but we ended up becoming Power 5. So that was unfortunate, but we were still able to make a great presentation.
Okay, so even if you didn't win the award, do you think it was a worthwhile activity?
Oh, absolutely, yes. I mean, it's just the discipline it teaches you to be able to add something like that extracurricular, and having an extracurricular activity that really or kind of makes you think more, think analytically, and do something that is educational but for fun.
Okay, so this is a recommended activity for undergraduates and graduates into next year.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, thanks for that update. It was terrific.
Thank you.
So for 4 days last week was the 2026 AIChE Spring Meeting. It was held at the Hilton of Americas and George R. Brown Convention Center here in Houston, Texas. It's a big meeting. There was 2,200 people registered for it, though unfortunately there were some missing from the Middle East due to travel restrictions. Now there were over 300 sessions, but only one specifically on energy efficiency, though improved energy performance was a motivation behind many advances in distillation, catalysis, and heat exchange technologies. There was a lot there really if you're interested in energy efficiency. And there were 2 halls with exhibits from vendors. There's a lot of interesting wares there, a lot of really interesting discussions that I had with the vendors as well. The looming water crisis in Corpus Christi was raised in the Q&A segments in multiple presentations, and it was an interesting discussion with a lot of the vendors as well. The idea of going to zero discharge, it's possible, though pretty expensive in many cases, but this doesn't overcome the evaporative losses that you'll get from the cooling towers. This issue is not over. It'll be interesting to see where this all goes. The receptions and the meals are a time to renew old friendships and to meet new people. I've attended 39 of the last 41 meetings, and this is where my people gather and talk. Next up is Carla talking about an article she wrote on geothermal. My first question is geothermal energy, isn't that a new thing?
No, it's not at all. It's actually one of the oldest energy sources that humans have used.
Okay.
Actually, Iceland has been using geothermal heat for district heating since the 1900s.
Wow.
What is new, though, is that they're using this to generate electricity at a scale, and that part is a lot harder. And it's really now only like in the last couple of decades that we've had advances in drilling. Now I've heard a lot of horizontal drilling and hydraulic fracturing. That has made it easier, more viable to reach hotter resources at greater depths.
Okay, that sounds terrific. A lot of great advances for this renewable energy source. But why can't we convert all of this heat into electricity?
So that's because of the Carnot efficiency, which is basically a law of thermodynamics that says that no heat engine can fully convert into heat into work perfectly. There's always going to be some type of waste heat rejected to the environment. The exact limitations depend on the temperature difference between your heat source and your heat sink or the condenser. And the bigger the gap, the more work you're able to extract. So for geothermal, the heat source is only from 100 to 300 Celsius, which is like, it's not that big. It's a small gap, and in that small gap, like real plants can only achieve 8 to 20% efficiency. But how I mentioned in the article, like a hypothetical geothermal plant could run at 10% efficiency, but that might actually be operating at 60 to 70% of its Carnot limit. Meaning this is the plant itself is doing well thermodynamically. So how I mentioned in the article, a hypothetical geothermal plant could be running at 10% efficiency, but this plant can actually be operating at 60 to 70% of its Carnot limit, meaning it's actually doing well thermodynamically.
Okay, and how does this compare to a conventional steam turbine that's fired by coal or natural gas?
Yeah, if it's being fired by coal, it means that it's hotter. So the conventional steam plants operate at higher temperatures, like 540 to 700. So their Carnot limit is higher, which is about 63 to 69%. And the real plants achieve higher actual efficiency, which is 36 to 50%. So based on this, we can't compare geothermal to those types of things.
Okay, so in your research, you uncovered 3 different types of geothermal units. Tell me about them.
Yeah, so each geothermal plant type depends on the resource temperature, and there are 3 main types. So the first type is dry steam, is the oldest and the simplest. You're pulling steam directly from the ground, and you're sending it straight to a turbine. This works with certain types of reservoirs because they have to naturally produce steam. You're not creating that steam. Then the second type is the flash steam, which is the most common now, where you're pulling pressurized water out of the ground above 82 degrees Celsius, and when it reaches the surface, the pressure drops and some of it flashes instantly into steam. That the steam drives the turbine. The downside of this is that the dissolved gases like CO2, they come out with the water that's being pulled out, and that's bad. So, and re-injecting them is really expensive. So eventually they're going to get vented.
It doesn't sound that like it works very well.
No. But the newest one, what is being actually built today, is the binary cycle, where what you're pulling out of the ground, the geothermal brine, never contacts the turbine at all. It passes through a heat exchanger that transfers the heat to a secondary working fluid like pentane, which that then vaporizes and it drives the turbine in a closed loop. So the brine stays contained and nothing gets released into the atmosphere.
So how do the costs compare between the modern geothermal and conventional steam turbine plants?
Geothermal is more expensive up front. The capital costs run from $3,000 to $6,000 per kilowatt, which compared to the combined cycle gas plant is roughly from $1,000 to $2,500 per kilowatt. However, the biggest cost driver for geothermal is drilling. The well construction can be from 40 to 60% of the total project cost. So, and the deeper you have to drill and to get those hotter temperatures, the higher the cost gets.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Here's the thing. Once the wells are drilled, there's no additional like, fuel costs, and the plants can run at 90% of the capacity, which is better than wind or solar, which like they're very weather dependent, like what you mentioned with your solar system. So in those 25 to 30 years, which is the project life, that really adds up.
Okay. So the overall levelized cost of power is greater or less than conventional, you think?
So the levelized cost of geothermal is a lot less. It's approximately $88 per megawatt hour, which is roughly the half of the cost for coal or gas generation.
Okay. That sounds very promising. Unfortunately, we can't do geothermal everywhere, but where it can be used, it is a promising new technology that has been around in ways for centuries.
Yes. Yeah.
A lot of very interesting information you've uncovered there, Carla. Truly appreciate it. So tell me, what did you learn about geothermal in your studies?
I learned that comparing geothermal to steam turbines or gas turbines is not fair, because geothermal is not going to win on that raw thermal efficiency. That's the wrong comparison to make. But what we're seeing is that like drilling technology is really pushing us along, and it's letting us reach hotter temperature resources than before. And the binary OCR technology is letting us extract power and making it more green. So the geothermal is a good thing, and it's something that we should continue to push with.
Okay. Yeah, it's not applicable everywhere, but where it can be deployed, it sounds like the thing to do. So thanks a lot for the article. Our audience can read more about that in our latest newsletter. So that's it for this week. Thank you for listening. The TEEP podcast is brought to you by CECO and the Media Lab here at the University of Houston. Many thanks to Carla Romero, Hisham Habli, and Christian Garcia for an excellent podcast. We'll see you again in a couple of weeks for another 15 minutes or so of industrial energy efficiency.